Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series Stradivarius and Beyond Italian Violin Makers Untold Stories. I'm Luan from Amorim Fine Violins, and today we will uncover the story of one of the most influential figures in Venetian violin making, Matteo Goffriller.
Though his name might not be as universally recognized as Stradivari or Guarneri, Goffriller's instruments, especially his cellos, are among the most sought after in the world. His craftsmanship laid the foundation for the Venetian school, influencing generations of makers and captivating musicians for over 3 centuries. Join us as we explore his journey from the Tyrolean Alps to the heart of Venice, the evolution of his style, and the lasting impact of his instruments. Let's dive in. Early origins and family heritage.
Our story begins in the year that Goffriller was born in 1659 in Bressanone, a city in the Italian Alps. Little is known about Goffriller's early years, except that he may have been trained under Matthias Albani, a renowned luthier from the same region. While Albani's workshop may have shaped his hands, young Matteo was destined for more. His ambitions clearly stretched beyond the mountains of Tyrol.
In 1685, he made a pivotal decision that would change his life. He left his homeland and journeyed south to Venice. At the time, Venice was one of the richest states and the powerhouse of art and culture. The city was not just an artistic hub, but also a booming center for commerce, attracting talents from across Europe. Goffriller's move to Venice might not have been entirely spontaneous. His sister Caterina was already living there in Kaiser's house, a well-established violin maker family. Through her, Matteo probably gained insights into the Venetian market and its opportunities. He soon found himself working alongside Kaisers, learning the intricacies of Venetian craftsmanship.
But Goffriller's path would soon take another deafening turn. He only not did master the crafts, but also became part of the family, marrying Kaiser's daughter and enriching the workshop upon his master's passing in 1690. With this, he established his place in Venetian violin making, marking the beginning of one of the most influential eras in the city's history. Would Goffriller have known at that moment that his name would one day be spoken in the same breath as Stradivari and Guarneri? Perhaps not, but what he built in Venice, a legacy of craftsmanship, sound and innovation, was just beginning.
Venice and its historical background. For centuries, La Serenissima, as the Venetian Republic was known, stood tall as one of Europe's richest and most influential states, an independent republic untouched by foreign invaders.
And if you're wondering why, let me explain to you. Venice was a wealthy city, and its power came from mastery over trade. The city held control over key regions, the islands of the Aegean Sea, some territories in northern Italy, and the Venetian lagoon. And it was Venice's strategic location that made it a giant. Positioned at the heart of important commercial routes connecting Europe to Asia, its bustling harbor welcomed merchants from all over the world.
This wealth and influence allowed Venice to remain politically dominant throughout the 16th century, withstanding pressure from the mighty Habsburg Empire in the west and the Ottomans in the east. By the 17th century, tensions with the Ottoman Empire began to rise, especially in the battle for control over islands like Crete. Yet, within the city walls, life remained as vibrant as ever. This was the golden age of Venetian art and culture. Antonio Vivaldi filled churches with music. Canaletto captured the beauty of the canals with his brush. And in the city theaters, Carlo Goldoni brought stories to life that made people laugh, think, and feel. With music playing such a big role in everyday life, there was a growing demand for high-quality instruments. That's why violin makers like Matteo Goffriller succeeded in Venice, because the city needed their craft. Unlike Cremona, where masters like Stradivari built instruments for distant clients. The Venetian School of Making.
The Venetian school of violin making, while firmly rooted in the Italian tradition, was uniquely shaped by the city's strategic, geographic, and commercial position, which facilitated cultural and artistic exchanges with Northern Europe.
Venice's role as a major trade hub allowed for an influx of materials, techniques, and influences from Austrian and Germanic regions, which played a significant role in defining the city's distinct violin-making style. Unlike the more homogeneous traditions of Cremona or Milan, Venetian luthiers often blended the refined Italian approach with the structural and tonal preferences seen in the Austrian and Germanic instruments. This influence is evident in certain aspects of Venetian violin design, such as bolder archings, slightly broader outlines, and a more robust tonal output, reflecting a synthesis of both traditions.
Makers like Matteo Goffriller, Domenico Montagnana, and Pietro Gorneri of Venice absorbed these external elements while maintaining the fluidity, warmth, and expressiveness characteristic of Italian violins. This combination resulted in instruments that were powerful yet rich in color, making them particularly suited for soloistic performance, and securing Venice's legacy as crucial and distinctive school within the Italian violin making.
Goffriller's violin making style. Influenced by the elegant outlines of Niccolò Amati, Goffriller crafted instruments that retain the refined curves and graceful symmetry of the Cremonese tradition, but with a bold Venetian twist. He introduced stronger outlines, fuller archings, and broader models that gave his instruments, mainly cellos, not only visual power but also a rich, expressive sound. The details of his work spoke volumes. His scrolls, compact and elegant, extended gracefully beyond the pegbox, a signature touch. The F-holes, boldly carved and centrally placed, fused Amati delicacy with Tyrolean sturdiness, creating a visual identity that was unmistakably his own. But Goffriller went beyond. He was an observer, a learner, and above all, an innovator.
It's likely that he studied the works of Antonio Stradivari, whose instruments had begun to circulate in Venice by the late 1600s. Some of Goffriller's violins from this period even reflect direct inspiration from Stradivarius models. His instruments feature an expressive force and great beauty, of which some have even been wrongly attributed to Stradivari in the past.
Goffriller also had a strong influence in the development of the typical deep red varnish, which later became the main characteristic of the Venetian style. As for that, his varnish, ranging from the golden amber to deep Venetian red, gave his violins and cellos a warm, glowing presence. The Golden Period, 1690 to 1715.
As the 17th century drew to a close, Matteo Goffriller's workshop in Venice emerged as a symbol of excellence. From around 1690 to 1715, the Venetian master entered the most prolific and celebrated chapter of his career, his Golden Period.
Within the walls of his workshop, nestled in the vibrant heart of Venice, Goffriller's hands shaped instruments that would resonate through the ages. While his violins were remarkable, he found his greatest expression in the cello. Consider Antonio Vivaldi, one of the era's most influential composers and violinists. As a teacher at the Ospedale della Pietà, he often selected instruments for his students. And while we have no surviving documentation, it's more than plausible that Vivaldi, ever in search of the finest sound, would have found them in Goffriller's workshop.
By the end of this golden era, Goffriller had established himself not just as a violin maker, but as the very soul of the Venetian lutherie. His instruments, shaped by hand and guided by intuition, had begun their long journey through history and into the hands of the world's greatest musicians.
After 1710, After 1710, Goffriller continued to craft instruments, but with a twist. Many of them were left unlabeled. Some historians believe this was a deliberate move to avoid the taxes and restrictions imposed by the Venetian guilds. This decision, while strategic at the time, complicated things for modern-day experts. Many of Goffriller's later works are harder to authenticate, and with changing tastes in the 18th century, especially the shift to smaller cellos like Stradivarius Forma B, larger Goffriller instruments were often cut down, making attribution even more challenging.
Still, the quality remained. Goffriller's unlabeled instruments carried the same masterful tone and character, a quiet defiance against bureaucracy and a testament to his enduring commitment to his craft.
Legacy and influence. Matteo Goffriller didn't just shape wood, he shaped an entire school of thought. His style laid the foundation for the Venetian school of violin making, influencing legendary names like Domenico Montagnana, Santo Serafin, Francesco Gobetti, and Carlo Tononi. His son, Francesco Goffriller, and many apprentices carried forward his teachings, turning Venice into a vital center of string instrument making. Perhaps the most dramatic endorsement came centuries later, when Pablo Casals, one of the greatest cellists in history, chose a Goffriller cello as his instrument of expression. Through Casals and many others, Goffriller's name was reborn, gaining a prestige rivaling that of Stradivari or Montagnana.
In the world of Italian violin making, Matteo Goffriller is a powerful voice. He founded a new school of violin making, responded to evolving needs of musicians, and helped give Venice a lasting voice in the world of luthiery. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, and stay tuned for more stories from the golden age of violin making. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode of Stradivarius and Beyond.